Coach at Southern University for 3 years. He took Southern in Baton Rouge to a regional and has also been Memphis head coach with a winning season there. He has been Missouri coach this year, and of course this is a team that's just getting started in the SEC, as is LSU. This is the way it lines up for Missouri. It's a club that hits well but does not pitch particularly well, at least to this point in the season. Garrett Goldbeck leads off as a DH. Caden Pierce, the center fielder. Mateo Cerna is catching. Caden Nicoletto is at first base. Brock Daniels, the left fielder. Jackson Lobich, the shortstop. The third baseman is Keegan Knutson. The second baseman is Trey Lawrence. Cameron Benson is the right fielder. And this is a lineup, Ben, that's going to take its cuts against Cade Anderson. He's been really, really good as the number one starter for the Tigers.
Yeah, just a sophomore. You see out of Madisonville, just east of here, Madisonville, Louisiana. And I tell you what, he's been good, Lynn. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You look at the numbers on the year, ERA a shade above 2. Look at the whip. Anytime you got a whip below 1, that's outstanding. And the strikeout to walk ratio off the chart, 6-1. Slider's a new pitch for him. The fastball's always been a good one, but the slider he learned, tried to bring it to a game last year, never could quite get it there, but had confidence this offseason and bring it into a ball game. And really, it's his best secondary offering. His last time out was March the 7th versus North Alabama, and I tell you what, he was outstanding. 6 innings, only 1 run he allowed, didn't walk a batter, and punched out 11 in 92 pitches.
Ben, you mentioned the outstanding strikeouts to walks ratio, 37 strikeouts, only 6 bases on balls. But equal to that, only 14 base hits allowed in 21 2/3 innings. So they're averaging, maybe 6 hits per 9 against him, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, the opponent's batting average, 189 so far against Cade Anderson. Now, having said that, the competition LSU has played this year hasn't been great. It's fixing to really get ramped up. This 30-game grind of the SEC schedule is coming. In my opinion, LSU, look, anybody can beat you, but LSU catches a little bit of a break getting Missouri right out of the chute. Maybe these young guys get used, because there's not a whole lot of experience on this LSU team playing SEC-type competition. So maybe LSU catches a little bit of break, but still, they better not take the Missouri Tigers lightly.
This game was to have been tonight, but it was moved backward, so to speak, starting earlier at 4:30 to avoid potential rain and storms this evening. Look at the wind blowing. It is whipping from 9 to 22 and gusts up to 35. I'll tell you what, Ben, if Columbus had this wind behind him when he left Spain, he would have arrived in the Americas in 1491.
It'd have been like a Ranger bass boat getting up on a plane, is what you're saying.
Something like that. So here we go. There's a little more juice in the air as we start the SEC season. Ben McDonald, Len Rollins with you. We are delighted to have you with us. If you're one of those tuning in right now, call a buddy or two. They may be unaware the game time was changed, and get them hooked up. This will be a chance for Chris Stanfield, and he makes the play in center field. So Goldbeck, the DH, hits a fly ball to Stanfield for the first out, and this brings on Caden Pierce. Defensively, LSU lines up this way. We'll start at third base. It's Michael Braswell. Stephen Milam is next to him. Daniel Dickinson is the second baseman. Jared Jones at first. Derek Curiel, Chris Stanfield, and Josh Pearson in the pasture from left to right. And Luis Hernandez is behind the dish catching Anderson.
Yeah, LSU comes in fielding 978 on the year, Lynn. That's 6th best mark out of 16 teams in the SEC. So defense has been pretty solid for LSU to this point.
You'd like to have it maybe in that A plus range of 980 or above, but 978 is really good.
It's solid, because LSU's defense, the last couple of years has been sporadic at times. Really good at times, but suffered in others. But we know when you get to the SEC play, you cannot afford to give teams extra opportunities. The offenses are just too good.
There's a late swing and a miss, and Anderson, who usually fills up the strike zone, collects his first strikeout.
Well, that's the new pitch for this year that we talked about just a couple of moments ago. That slider, and he's got a good one, especially lefty on lefty. He can start that ball kind of in the heart of the plate and have it drift off the outside edge. First strikeout of the night, or the day, I should say, for Cade Anderson so far.
Missouri 8-8 on the year, 2-3 in its last 5 games. No series wins this year for Missouri, a couple of splits. They opened the season as part of the Puerto Rico Challenge. Mateo Cerna takes a hefty cut and fouls it back.
Yeah, you mentioned the offense is okay for Missouri. The pitching is where they have really struggled. But one thing they do well And when they do get on base, they're going to run. 32 stolen bases on the year. That's the 4th best mark in the SEC.
Cerna is played very deep and maybe a step or two the other way. There's that off-speed pitch. So he followed a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, Ben, with an 83-mile-an-hour pitch.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're talking about a 4-pitch mix here. You know, fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup. And Cade Anderson will use them all. Remember, he's just a sophomore, Lynn, but he is a draftable sophomore. And D1 projections have him kind of in the 2nd round as of right now.
He is very, very poised, very deliberate, very unshakable on the mound.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you just can't tell. You know, you can't tell if he's rolling or if he's giving up a few runs because the demeanor is the same on the mound all the time. And I love that for a Friday night guy. You can't get too emotional.
There's a bender, it misses. You know who he reminds me of yesteryear and throws it a bit harder? Well, we'll get to that in just a minute. Lane Mestape.
Oh, yeah.
Hardly ever walked anybody.
Ooh. Little backdoor slider looked like that one just missed.
Jeff Head is calling balls and strikes. Matthew Wilbanks is at first base. Eric Gaucher, the second base umpire. And Danny Cricks is at third. The 3-2 pitch. A call, third strike.
That's how you want to get the party started.
Ellen Jones. 5 others are batting 300 or better. It's Curiel in left field, Jones at first base, Daniel Dickinson the second baseman. Ethan Fry gets the start as the cleanup hitter as the DH. Stephen Milam at shortstop, Josh Pearson the right fielder, Luis Hernandez is catching. Michael Braswell is at third base, and Chris Stanfield patrols center field. Curiel leads the way with a .450 average, and that's just a couple of points ahead of Jared Jones. Here's a senior, Ian Losey.
Yeah, Losey in his 5th year for Missouri Tigers. His first 4 years on campus, mostly a reliever with a few spot starts along the way. But this year he's jumped into that Friday night role for Missouri Tigers. And he's been pretty decent. He really has. I mean, he's 0-2, hadn't won a game yet, hadn't got a lot of run support. 19 in the third. He struck out 26, and he's only walked 4. So typically he is a strike thrower as well, and that's what you want to see on your Friday night guys. And you see the mix. It's a 4-pitch mix. Fastball's pretty good for a left-hander, 90 to 93. He'll show you a slider, a changeup, and a cutter as well. And probably that cut fastball might very well be his best secondary offering.
He's given up a hit per inning, 20 hits in those 19 2/3 innings. But you're right, Ben, the control has been exceptional.
Yeah, he's not going to beat him. He's not going to beat himself very often.
Both he and Anderson throw a lot of strikes, and they work pretty quickly.
But this is an offense he has not faced this year when you talk about LSU's offense. You mentioned it, 346 team batting average. That's 3rd best in the nation. You look at the runs per game, 10.4 runs per game for LSU coming in. That's 3rd in the SEC and 8th in the nation as well. So this LSU offense, in my opinion, so far been better than what anybody thought it would be this early in the year.
And it's versatile. There are people on the bench now who are contributors as well who aren't in the starting lineup today. Losey will work from the stretch without base runners, and he finds the first pitch in the strike zone.
And you can kind of see it's a little bit different arm slot for Losey. It's what we call a low 3/4 slot. It's going to be really tough on the left-handers because the ball is going to feel like it's coming almost right at you if you're a left-hander.
That's a call strike. LSU this season against left-handed pitchers is batting a whopping .377. And interestingly enough, Losey has not fared as well against left-handers as he has against right-handers.
Yeah, he's what we call a reverse splits guy, which means lefties hit him better than right-handers hit him, which is a little bit odd. How about the year Derek Curiel is having? True freshman. It's not very often that true freshmen step on campus in the SEC and go to the leadoff spot and become maybe the team's best hitter. Twice as many walks as he has strikeouts in his freshman year. That's almost unheard of.
He is 8 for 16 against left-handed pitching, is Curiel. Last 6 games, he's hitting .500. He's driven in 5. He's been on base 8 times via a walk.
How about that bottom line right there? He has reached base safely in all 18 games this year.
That's the definition of an outstanding leadoff batter.
Well, that's why you want him in the leadoff spot, because he will take a walk.
After falling behind 2 strikes, The count is level.
And speaking of walks, that's what LSU's doing really well this year, Lynn. The 4th most walks in the SEC, but the 4th fewest strikeouts as well. So it's a team that walks a lot, that does not strike out very often.
It walks a lot to first base. It doesn't walk a lot back to the dugout.
That's another way to say it. I like that even better.
So the comparisons are starting to be made among Tiger fans. You've got Curiel. What about Todd Walker? Do they remind you of each other?
Very much so. Obviously both left-handed, about the same size. Curiel may be a little bit taller than what Todd Walker was, but when you talk about plate discipline, controlling the strike zone, not offering it balls out of the zone, an outstanding idea of what the strike zone is, that's what you're getting, And Curiel is as advanced as I've seen really almost any freshman. And I love his attitude. You know who he reminds me of, and I said this before, he reminds me of Alex Bregman when Bregman stepped on campus his freshman year. It's not cockiness, it's more I am confident. This is what I was made to do, is play the game of baseball, and I'm confident in my abilities to go out and play this game and play it at a very high level.
Here comes the 8th pitch to the leadoff hitter, Derek Curiel. And he spoils another one.
Well, Losey's showing him just about a little bit of everything. And Losey's got some experience. 5 years in college. This is his 53rd appearance, his 13th start. So he's been around the block once or twice.
Curiel will be followed by Jones and Dickinson. Lots of sunshine flooding the field right now with broken clouds. And the pitch popped up right side. Nicoletto, first baseman, is calling for it. Now gives way to the second baseman, and he has to lunge to make the catch. That was Trey Lawrence who made the catch, but it was not easy for him.
Well, everybody, if you're playing the outfield or the infield, you'd be well served to check out the wind and know which way the wind is blowing, because the way the wind is blowing, that's the direction it's going to go. Back into the field of play if it's over on that side, and everybody better be converging on pop-ups in the middle infield, because it's going to drift a lot with the way the wind is.
So after a long at-bat, Curiel is retired on a pop-up to the right side. And here is Jared Jones. Jones waits. He swings, and he can't catch up with it.
Well, we were sitting around when the season began going, Barrett Jones hit 28 long balls this year and had a phenomenal year. Is there any way he can top that? Well, guess what? He is on pace to do it.
His maturity and maturation as a hitter has been interesting to watch, because he was a waiver in his first year. By that I mean he swung at a lot of pitches that were not in the strike zone.
Yep.
That got better last year. It's outstanding this year.
That's what you hope you get, is growth in your players. And Jared Jones has had a lot of growth. I mean, you mentioned, he was a freshman All-American his freshman year. He hit 14 home runs, but played a lot earlier than SEC play rolled around, and all of a sudden, Jared Jones couldn't keep himself in the lineup. He just a little bit too much swing and miss. But then last year, started to kind of figure the strike zone out, started punishing the baseball, and it's even been better so far. His swing decisions off the chart. And
you see his temperature right now, let's call it, 12 for his last 23 at the plate.
That would qualify as being hot at the plate.
And he's driven in 11 runs during that time.
Well, this offense for LSU has been good all year long, but the home runs have really ticked up as of late. I went back and looked. The first 11 games of the year, the LSU only hit 9 home runs. The last 7 games, LSU has 19 home runs in their last 7 games. So the long ball all of a sudden is starting to come for LSU. Now, that's typical here in Baton Rouge, because as the weather warms up, you typically get the winds that you're getting today. The ball's starting to blow out a little bit. But because you remember early in the year, the wind was cool, wind kind of blowing in when they went to the tournament a little bit.
A lot of dampness.
Yeah, and so the ball didn't carry as well. But here as of late, it's starting to heat up in Baton Rouge, and these Tiger bats have heated up with the long ball as well.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got Jones on strikes.
Boy, that's well done right there by Ian Losey. Little backdoor breaking ball. Kind of a lot like Cade Anderson, right? Starts it off the outside edge and just kind of bends it back and picks a strikeout up.
He had to swing because that ball was curling back over the outside part of the plate. And this brings on Dickinson. Dickinson shows body, lets it pass, ball one. He's a .373 hitter. This is his 19th start. He's been in the lineup every day. A junior second baseman. Let's check Missouri's defense. Knutson and Nicoletto on the corners. Lovich and Lawrence are the middle infielders. Daniels, Peer, and Benson are the outfielders from left to right. And Cerna is catching Losi. That hit him. LSU gets a base runner and a bruise.
Yeah, it looked like that little cut fastball, trying to get it to the inside part of the plate and got it a little bit too far in, right off the elbow guard, it looked like, of Dickinson.
Yep.
Speaking of defense, and that's, talking to Carrick Jackson, head coach for Missouri before the game, he said, listen, our pitching has to get better, but our defense has to improve too. You look at their fielding percentage, they're dead last in the SEC, and he said, we got to catch the ball and make the routine plays a little bit better than what we've been doing.
Here's Ethan Fry, the youngster from Rose Pine. And there's a bender for a strike. Have you ever been through Rose Pine?
I don't think I have.
Don't exceed the speed limit.
And don't blink.
True, but don't exceed.
Because you'll go right through it.
Don't exceed the speed limit.
But if you're exceeding the speed limit, you'll be there a little bit longer, is what you're saying. Because you're going to get a driving fast. You're going to get a driving fast certificate, is what you're saying.
I would go a 5 under, just to be sure.
Wow, that strict, huh?
Pretty strict.
It almost sounds like you're speaking from experience.
I got a Christmas card from him.
That's kind of what we're talking about. ERA dead last, defense dead last for Missouri.
I mean, it makes Livonia look like the Audubon. This ball is cued off to Lovich. He kind of double clutches his throw and throws it away. Tigers are running the bases. A turn at third, but he will return. Dickinson and Fry wind up at third and second on a misplay by Lovich, the shortstop.
Yeah, this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? This is pretty much just a routine play, and the shortstop Lovich comes in. Now, he does everything right. He comes to get it. Ball not hit very hard, but watch the transfer. Right there, never got a good grip on the ball, just kind of shoves it over to first base. That actually might go down as a single and an error because the throw didn't look like, even if it was on line to me, it was going to get him. Because the shortstop, Lovich, just couldn't get anything on the throw, never got a good grip on the ball.
So far, they've ruled it as an error.
There's definitely an error in there because you got extra bases, but I thought he might have beat that out.
That might still being pondered. Here's Stephen Milam. You know, Milam obviously physically is not the equal of Jared Jones, but when you look at their batting stance and their mannerisms in the batter's box, they look very similar. Mm-hmm. Watch the way he'll arch his back.
Yeah, a lot of the LSU
Cruz
hitters
did a
are
lot
doing
of that.
I think Dylan Cruz is kind of the guy that got that started a little bit for
Wide
LSU.
stance, knees bent.
And it's about the posture, right? I mean, I think they're reminding themselves to be more upright and not leaned over or bent over too much. Jared Jones does it. Milam does it. I see others do it on the team as well. Josh Jordan does it.
Dickinson was hit by a pitch with 2 outs. Fry reached on a 2-base throwing error from the shortstop. And now it's Milam.
Josh Pearson, I'm sorry. Josh Jordan's LSU's third base coach.
Well, he might do it too. The pitch. Spoiled. You know, Ben, we saw what Milam was capable of last year. Here are the RBI leaders for the Tigers. Jones and Dickinson between them have 54. Milam at 20, that's a big number. Curiel and Pearson 16 apiece.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was worried about Stephen Milam hitting at all. I think they thought he would hit this year, and he has. The question mark when me and you last got together was opening day, and he was making the transition, was Milam, from second base to shortstop, and then people wondered, could he play the shortstop position? So far, he has proven himself, yes, he can play the shortstop position.
Pete in scoring position. We played one. It's opening day of LSU baseball for many, many, many years, decades, in fact.
No doubt. I mean, Skip Bertman, arguably the greatest college baseball coach of all time. And I think around here you would say that he is. And behind every successful man, I've always felt that he is a special lady. And Sandy Burton was that. She was our team mom. She helped Skip through a lot of different things. She's a big supporter, obviously, of the program. And it's a sad day. I think everybody's hearts are broken, not only in Baton Rouge, but around the college baseball world, all around the country.
Well, her influence and her knowledge was certainly felt all over the country. And she never met a stranger. She was so kind and absorbed a lot of jobs in those days that somebody else will do these days in the world of modern college baseball. But there's a wreath there in honor of Sandy Bertman. They were married 63 years.
Wow.
Earlier this year, Daniels hit safely in 10 consecutive games. That's the longest hitting streak so far this season for Missouri. He's batting .289. 1 home run, 10 driven in.
Yeah, this Missouri offense much improved so far from last year. I mean, last year they only hit .253. They're hitting .301, as you mentioned, in the open this year. And runs per game, 7.5 runs per game this year, only 5.8 last year. So the offense has been better this year so far.
Daniels is a guy who started his career at Oklahoma. He never played at Oklahoma. He sat out his freshman season as a Sooner and then transferred to Missouri before he had taken the field as a college player.
Now Oklahoma and Texas part of the SEC.
It just makes it better, doesn't it? There's a liner to right. The first base runner for Missouri on a solid single by Brock Daniels.
That was nice by Daniels. Lefty on lefty matchup, and boy, he just stayed right in there and put barrel on ball. 3-2 count, expecting a fastball, and he got one right there, kind of middle in, and puts a barrel on it for a solid base hit out to right field.
Do you have in front of you how Cade Anderson has done against left-handed batters?
I think we can find that. Let me get the interns on it. Let's see. Overall, his opponent's batting average 189. What is he against? I'm looking.
I'm showing 222 on some numbers I have.
Well, wow. So he's lefties are hitting him better than righties then, because overall he's 189. So that's a little bit odd. So we got 2 reverse splits guys out there.
He's only allowed right-handers to hit for a 170 average. Pretty good lead at first base. And a well-hit ball to right field. Pearson is going to have to battle the sun, but he can't reach it. That's well up into the bleachers. It's a 2-run home run for Jackson Lovich. That ball just kept carrying through the sunshine halfway up the right field bleachers. His 3rd home run of the year, and Missouri on a long ball from Lovich takes a 2-0 lead.
Well, that's some real juice right there. This is opposite field, and this ball didn't just barely sneak over the wall. And fastball just up enough, and boy, he does a nice job not trying to pull this ball, just kind of goes with it. And look where this thing lands. I mean, it's about 10 or 12 rows up, straightaway right field. Impressive swing by Jackson Lovich.
Anderson has yielded 4 home runs this season, and the Missouri Tigers get to the scoreboard first. Here's Knutson from Janesville, Wisconsin. LSU has not trailed in many games in the non-conference part of the season, but they find themselves down 2-0 on a 2-run homer in the second inning.
I like this visit by pitching coach Nate Yeskie. Just come out and calm his left-hander down a little bit, get him back in the strike zone. Last couple batters, Anderson has fallen a little bit behind and gotten some predictable counts, and it's hurt him.
Rain is expected tonight and tomorrow morning. If the forecasts are okay, it should be winding up late afternoon. So, Ben, we're hopeful that things will go off on time tomorrow night, and also Sunday looks pretty good.
Sound like this weather could get nasty, too, during the day tomorrow. They're talking about high winds, a lot of rain, possible hail and tornadoes. Whatever happened to just the old usual quarter-inch rain shower? It seems like when it rains now, we're battling winds and tornadoes and
8 inches of snow in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right.
A month ago. The 2-1 pitch. That's high.
Yeah, that's kind of where Anderson's missing so far this inning, is just elevated above the top of the strike zone.
That's a strike in the upper part of the zone. Knutson tried to beg his way on. Anderson had struck out 3 in a row before the single and the home run.
Yeah, Jeff Head, home plate umpire, says not so fast, young man.
And Knutson can't come up with that pitch and becomes the second out of the inning on strikes.
3-1 count, fastball for a call, and another fastball. This is well placed here. That's kind of where Cade Anderson makes his money right there. Is on the outside part of the plate to right-handers, just down in the zone.
Here's Trey Lawrence, the second baseman. He's from Palmetto, Florida. A strikeout, a single, a home run into the right field bleachers by Lovich. And another strikeout. Lawrence is hitting .231. He does not have an extra base hit. He's a first-year Tiger. Josh Pearson coming toward the infield, calls for it and makes the play.
But there are 14 SEC teams ranked, depending on what poll you look at. Look at the D1 baseball poll. I think there's 12 SEC teams ranked right now. The top 4 spots belong to SEC schools.
Josh Pearson is hit by the first pitch he sees. Well, Dickinson was plunked in the first inning with 2 outs. Pearson is hit by a pitch leading off the second. Then here's what you were just talking about. This is one of several polls, but LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia, 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of the SEC.
Yeah, I
How
think
about Florida
Tennessee
at 7, and then you go down and go all the way to number 17, Alabama.
Yeah, and even Auburn's in there at 25 too, you know, and Texas A&M's kind of been the big disappointment. Preseason number 1 in everybody's poll. They're all the way down to 19th right now, and they are reeling. Tennessee, I believe, is the only undefeated team left in college baseball. They still have not lost a game.
Can you believe the Aggies at this point have the worst batting average in the SEC?
No, because they returned so many position players off of offense last year. It was really good. Now, they did lose their All-American third baseman in Grahovac. He got hurt and is out for the year, so that's been a big blow for them. But still, Chase Laviolette, who's supposed to be, could be the number 1 pick in the draft. He's a little bit slow getting started offensively, and some of the other guys as well.
The Aggies are hitting .268 as a team. Here's Hernandez from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Hernandez started to get it going. He had a little bit of a slow start for LSU. Put up big numbers last year.
This is well tagged deep to center field. Pierre is back, looking up. He leaps. He cannot get it. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. A game-tying swing by Luis Hernandez. Hola!
Wow. Speaking of heating up, huh? It was a slow start to the year for Hernandez, who transferred to LSU from Indiana State after a monster year there last year. Well over 20 home runs. That's his second long ball of the year. And he touched that one. Watch this swing right here by the senior catcher. Just a fastball elevated right in the heart of the plate, Lynn, and he got every stitch of that one. And he knew it when he touched it. He had home run number 2.
That ball is hit from Missouri, what Lovich did to LSU, a 2-run home run. Here's Braswell. It's hit sharply to the shortstop. Lovich with a long throw. This one's on the money for the out. So 1 gone, 2 have crossed the plate on the Hernandez homer, and it brings on Chris Stanfield. Stanfield is hitting quietly .327. This is a real luxury to have a well over 300 hitter batting 9th.
Yeah, and having his best year. First 2 years were at Auburn. And the defense always played. Like, defensively, he's as good as anybody out in center field. But the bat was a little bit behind, and Jay Johnson kind of broke him down a little bit. A little bit different stance, a little bit different swing, and so far it's paying off. Anytime you got a guy hitting the 9-hole that's hitting .327, that is a luxury.
That's fouled off of Stanfield's foot in the batter's box. The 1-1 pitch. That's right down the middle. Low C tries to hit the outside corner and steers it a little bit high and wide. 2-2. A pair of 2-run homers that punctuated the second inning. One for Missouri, one for LSU. There's a bender. And Stanfield recognized it as it was spinning out of the strike zone. The left fielder, Brock Daniels, is only a couple of steps away from the warning track. There's ball 4, a very patient walk by Stanfield.
That's this LSU offense at its best right there. We talked about their walks this year, 4th most walks in the SEC.
That's the first base on balls issued by Losi. He's hit a couple of batters. So Ben, you talked about the Missouri defense. It's been lacking to this point, and already we've seen it. 2 hit batters, an error, and a walk.
Yeah, defense in the SEC is so important because these offenses are just too good. You know, you start playing Tennessee, Arkansas, LSU, Florida. You give teams extra base runners, extra at-bats, you're going to pay for it.
And pay dearly.
Tennessee leads the SEC and leads the nation at 12 runs per game. They've already got 50 home runs this year, Tennessee does, in just 17 games.
My goodness. Stanfield has attempted 3 stolen bases. He's been caught once. He probably takes the biggest lead on average than any other Tiger. He's leaning a little bit towards second. Not going. Pierre gathers himself in center field, and he squeezes it for the second out. So Curiel, who popped up to the second baseman his first at bat, flies to center field in the second, and this brings on Jared Jones.
There's LSU's offense we were talking about, Lynn. figuring out a way to get on base and keep the line moving, and they have done that so far this year. And what's equally impressive to me is LSU has not struck out much either. The 4th fewest strikeouts in the SEC. So it's 1 through 9, and they're going to pressure you up 1 through 9. And that's what's kind of different about this offense this year versus last year. Last year it was kind of top heavy. You got down to the bottom, and it wasn't a lot of production. This year it's just the opposite. There's production for LSU 1 through 9.
Let's see what Jones can do after he struck out swinging in the first.
Yeah, struck out swinging on, remember that little backdoor breaking ball by Losi.
Jones eyes it wide.
That's a pretty good lead right there.
Not going from first base. Jones with a helicopter swing. That one sucked up dust around the plate.
That's one thing about Jerry Jones. He doesn't get cheated at the plate. He is looking to do damage.
Two-two ball game. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jared Jones with 2 outs and a teammate at first base. After an earlier Hernandez 2-run home run. Dickinson is on deck. Daniels is even deeper in left field this time. Oh, Jones was fooled by that pitch. That was not his full cut. So he has fanned. But we are playing some ball, y'all, in the 3rd inning. There's a big swing from Cameron Benson. Benson is the 9-hole hitter, hitting .375. 1 homer, 3 driven in. That'll be a chance for Milam. Look at that transfer and that accurate throw. He has really fallen in love with the shortstop position. He was an outstanding second baseman last year. But, Ben, as you well know, the conversion from second to short is a whole different ball game, and he has taken to it.
Yeah, and people worried about the arm strength, but this is where Milam makes up for maybe not quite the arm strength that you'll see from a lot of traditional shortstops in the SEC. You mentioned the transfer, and that's what's important. He quickly gets to the ball. The range is outstanding, but he gets it in the glove and the throwing hand as fast as anybody, and that's how you make up for maybe a little bit less of an arm.
Here's Gehrig Goldbeck, who flied to Stanfield last time. He's the leadoff hitter in the Missouri lineup. That's a mitt popper for a strike, and that's the fastest delivery of the game so far, 94.8.
Best fastball velocity and maybe the best fastball location, just perfectly placed down and away.
Game time tomorrow is scheduled at 6 o'clock. These teams will do their best to play tomorrow, and it might be a later start, but nothing official right now. It's a 6 o'clock start tomorrow, and then on Sunday, LSU and Missouri, a 1 o'clock start. Baton Rouge time, Central Daylight Saving Time.
Yeah, if the forecast is correct, it looks like the bad weather's going to be out somewhere around 5 o'clock, maybe 6 o'clock local time. So should be on par.
This field drains well. The grounds crew here is very dedicated. We have the St. Patrick's Day emerald green going on the outfield and in the infield, don't we?
Yes. I like the new outfield wall. I think it looks very, very good.
That almost clipped Goldbeck. He's from Kansas City.
Yeah, just a breaking ball. Big looping curveball to go along with that tight slider that Anderson has.
That pitch is just out of the zone, and it's the first base on balls from Kate Anderson. Here's Caden Peer, P-E-E-R. He was the first of 4 strikeout victims today. He's played slightly as an opposite field hitter. We're having some fun at the ballpark. It's day 1 of the SEC schedule. Ben McDonald, Lynn Rollins with you. Thank you for choosing to join us. Let's see who can make a play here. Milam's going to have to throw it to first, and he gets his man. That was a good decision by Milam, and he took the only reasonable chance he had.
Well, and Milam just continues to impress me at the shortstop position. The range was never a question, and watch how quickly he goes to his glove side right here. Goes all the way across second base, and watch the transfer in and out of the glove in just a second, and a dart throw over to first base to Jared Jones.
Milam recognized it would have been a very difficult play for Dickinson. High risk, very little reward. And he had made up his mind early, get the out at first base, and he did so flawlessly.
In that situation, the shortstop has the right because he has the momentum going towards first. Even if Dickinson catches that ball, he's got to throw it back across his body and not likely to get to runner. But Milam going towards first base had the shot.
But here is one of the better hitters for the Tigers, Mateo Cerna.
There's a good curveball by Anderson. And that was the breaking ball of choice last year for Anderson. It was fastball, big looping curveball, and changeup last year in his freshman year. But this year he's added that little hard slider to the mix.
Cerna has been good with runners in scoring position for Missouri. His average is .387 in these circumstances. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 5 for. Heard it and talked about it a lot. But the great thing about SEC baseball, and it really doesn't matter which team comes in, because it's a regional caliber opponent, if not a super regional opponent, if not a College World Series caliber opponent, every weekend in the SEC.
And what it does is it prepares you for the NCAA tournament, because most of all of these teams in the SEC are probably going to make the NCAA tournament. And what it does is when you face this kind of competition, yes, it's mentally, it's tough. Physically, it is a grind. There's no doubt about that. But when you get to the NCAA tournament after going through this 30-game schedule, there's nothing you're going to see in an NCAA tournament that's going to back you down from it, because you've seen just about everything there is to see through these 30-game schedule.
Dickinson was hit by a pitch with 2 outs in the first and stranded at third base.
I think, looking at that, Ole Miss is probably the surprise team so far in the SEC. Texas A&M, I guess, in a bad way, but Ole Miss in a good way. I think most all the experts had Ole Miss, towards the bottom of the SEC, and they find themselves ranked 13th. So Mike Bianco has done an outstanding job so far over at Ole Miss.
And the Ole Miss game has gone final. It's the first final of the SEC season. Ole Miss beat Arkansas 10-6.
There you go.
We'll have other scores later in our game. The pitch previous to the one that we just saw was a heck of a changeup.
Yeah, we talked about Losi. It's a 4-pitch mix from him. Now, he's been fastball and slider heavy, but he will mix in that changeup against right-handed hitters.
Dickinson out of Richland, Washington. Let's see who's going to take charge on this. It will carry out to center field, and it is squeezed by Caden Peer. That's his third put out. And now Ethan Fry, who reached on a 2-base throwing error by the shortstop Lobich. He'll come to the plate for the second time.
Good to see Ethan Fry in there. He's kind of waited his turn at LSU. Could have transferred to other colleges. Probably could have been a starter almost anywhere else, but he's waited his time at LSU now in his 3rd season and getting some consistent at-bats now.
This is chopped on a couple of hops to Lawrence. It takes a waist-high bounce, and there is out number 2. Losey has settled in, at least through the first couple of batters, after yielding 3 base runners and a 2-run home run by Hernandez last inning. Here's Milam, batting for the second time today with 2 outs. Brock Daniels in left field plays just about everybody way back.
Must be more comfortable coming in than going back as deep as he is.
I mean, if it's hit over his head, it's a home run.
Yeah, if he takes 2 steps back, he's running into the wall.
Every once in a while, he'll scratch his back on the wall out there. There he is, wandering around a little bit. Milam sends it up the elevator shaft. Second baseman retreating, and makes the catch. It's the second time he has had to lunge, Lawrence has, to make a pop-up catch. That was 1.11. That's 11th in the country. We're not talking about the SEC here.
Yes,
we're talking about the whole spectrum of college baseball.
That's national ranks. Of course, LSU led the nation last year in strikeouts and towards the top again this year. Matter of fact, tied for first in the SEC in total strikeouts. And they began the year not walking many guys, and they started to kind of spray it a little bit, but they've kind of dialed it back in. Something that they wanted to work on and really wanted to improve on year to year was less free passes.
Caden Nicoletto came into the game with a .422 average. By far and away the best among the regulars. And this is sent foul on a bounce past Jones. Nicoletto struck out in the second inning. He's on a 9-game hitting streak, Ben, and that's his career best. So you could make the case he's the most lethal Tiger with a bat in his hands right now. Oh, a weak wave. Ball gets away. Hernandez creates the angle as he moves out in front of the plate. And Nicoletto has struck out for the second time, number 6 for Anderson.
Yeah, Cade Anderson's been in that breaking ball pretty good right now. And the idea when you get to 2 strikes is throw something that looks like a strike. And that would stay in the strike zone a long time before it worked its way down and away from Nicoletto.
Ben, I hear the train whistle. And now I see it.
That's the 5:32, Lynn, and it's right on time.
It is exactly on time. You and I are working off the same sheet. Anderson runs, bends over, makes a nice play to get the second out as Brock Daniels, who had a single in his first at bat, rolls out.
There.
Headed north.
Northbound.
Northbound. The 5:32. Here's Jackson Lovich. You went back after the home run and looked at his size. He's a lean but powerfully built 6'4", just under 200 pounds.
Yeah, shortstop too. 6'4", playing the shortstop position.
You played in the major leagues with a big shortstop, didn't you?
Yeah, Cal Ripken Jr. was 6'5", so he was really big for his time. That's not that big anymore, you know. Alex Rodriguez came along at 6'4". Derek Jeter was up there at 6'3". Each generation, Lynn, getting bigger, stronger, and faster.
And richer.
And definitely richer.
Cade Anderson takes care of business. That is correct. Josh Pearson at the plate. His average right now is .351. Coming into SEC play, Curriell and Jones were hitting .450 and .448 respectively. Dickinson .373, Fry .357, Milam .391, Pearson .351, and Stanfield .327. That drops into left field, a bloop base hit. And the Tigers get a base runner in a 2-2 game, bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, Pearson on twice. First at bat, hit by pitch. This ball right off the end of the bat. Not hit hard enough where the Brock Daniels, the left fielder, can get to this one. Just kind of dumps it out in left field. Good start for the Tigers here in the bottom of the fourth.
That's only the second hit for LSU off Losi. The other one came off the bat of the young man at the plate right now, Luis Hernandez. And he hit it well over the left center field wall, closer to center field than left. A blast of over 400 feet. And Ben, let's look at this swing again.
Yeah, I tell you what, he has been heating up at the plate. It was a slow start. He just goes up top shelf and just gets to this fastball. And I mean, puts a barrel on it just over the wall.
That's a high strike. Another ball driven deep to left field, but catchable, and Daniels is there. He didn't have to move much. And as has been his custom so far, he was deep to start with. Braswell comes to the plate high today. I'm sweating like a politician taking a polygraph test.
It is warmer today. It's sticky. You're right. Rain's a coming.
I see a little sweat on your brow.
Yeah.
I'm not looking there very often, though, okay?
My glasses are fogging up.
They are. That pitch is low and away. Braswell is off to a slow start offensively. This is the guy who led LSU last year in batting average against SEC pitching. It would be good to get him going, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, he was, remember in the postseason last year when LSU really started to make their run, and I know a lot of LSU fans may or may not remember this. LSU started off 3-12 in conference play last year, dropped their first 5 SEC series, but then won 4 of their final 5, and of course go all the way to the SEC tournament championship game, and then take North Carolina to a Game 7 over in Chapel Hill in the regional, you know, in extra innings. And it was Braswell and Milam really that kind of led the way. Braswell was so big in the SEC tournament and in the regional as well. And he's kind of been platooning with Reeves, the junior college transfer, you know, at LSU so far this year. Of course, Braswell bats from the right side, Reeves from the left side.
Reeves had a grand slam home run in LSU's last game. What a big moment for him. Ooh, Braswell is hit. You could hear that draw flesh.
Yeah, that wasn't a glance and blow right there. That was pretty solid off the left arm of Braswell, what it looked like. And a good chance for the Tigers here to take the lead. Just trying to come to the inside part of the plate is what it looks like. Yeah, just overcooked it.
That's the third Tiger who's been bruised. Dickinson, Pearson, and Braswell have all been clipped. LSU has something working here with runners at second and first, Pearson and Braswell. For Chris Stanfield. Cerna out to talk to his veteran pitcher. Tiger baseball coming your way from Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field in Baton Rouge, courtesy of the SEC ESPN Network. Ben McDonald, Lynn Rollins with you. Thank you for spending your day with us. Stanfield out of Tallahassee, Florida. Ball 1 wide. He has 17 hits, 2 of them for extra bases, 1 double and 1 triple. There's a strike. And the first couple of times through the lineup, including Stanfield's appearance here, LSU has thrown 9 of 18 first pitch strikes.
Yeah. And he's leaning on that cutter of his, that little backdoor breaking ball he really likes. And to your point, LSU's not hit him that well.
You would like to see him throw a few more first pitch strikes.
It's a little bit unusual for him because we talked about it in 19 1/3, only 4 walks coming in.
Right.
But the control hasn't been as sharp as it was his 4 previous starts.
Well, he's hit 3 batters and walked 1, and that's uncharacteristic. And he's 3-1 on Stanfield.
But that's LSU's offense at its best, right? I mean, it's going to work the pitcher. They're going to force the pitchers to throw strikes. And LSU just doesn't offer it many bad pitches.
It's a hitter's count. And that ball gets loose. It's going to load the bases. And it's Derek Curiel coming to the plate with the bases full of Tigers, and we're going to have a conversation on the mound. The bullpen is just now starting to get active for Missouri.
Yeah, this looks like the pitching coach, Tim Jamison, out for a quick visit with his left-hander. Derek Curiel has flown out twice, once to center field and 1 time to second base. And LSU's beat him both times on a fastball kind of up and in a little bit. So we'll see if Curiel can make that adjustment.
LSU and Kentucky on the softball field are doing battle in the first of a 3-game series. And the Tigers in the top of the 5th inning have a 4-1 lead. Sidney Berzon is in the circle for the Tigers. And I'm pretty sure Hebner will throw tomorrow. Mackenzie Rudidy has a 2-run triple in the game. That's been one of the big blows for the softball Tigers. So here's Curiel. Could this be a breaking point in the game?
Well, a chance for LSU to break it wide open, or at least take the lead here for sure. 1 out, bases loaded.
Swing and a miss. Curiel has popped up to the second baseman and flied to center field. There have been a lot of fly ball outs, haven't there?
Yeah. I think 5 fly ball outs for the Tigers so far. LSU's got just enough velocity, just enough hop on that fastball where LSU's popped up 5 times.
Jones is on deck. That's tight. A mitt popper, but too close. Curiel at .435 as he stands at the plate. A check swing. I don't think he went. Danny Cricks down at third agrees. There's a lot of room in the gaps in the outfield. Pearson at third. Braswell at second. Stanfield on first. And a drive into the right field corner. It is hooking. It is a fair ball. 1 Tiger scores. A pair of Tiger scores. Here comes the 3rd Tiger. And no throw. A 3-run blast. We'll see whether they call it a double or a triple. It doesn't matter. Curiel has cleared the bases with a liner into the right field corner that appeared to hit the chalk.
Yeah, it looked like to me Curiel just got on a breaking ball here and just went around and circled this ball. Watch him circle this ball and pull it. Yeah, breaking ball right in the heart of the plate. Circles it right down the right field line. And boy, he is trying to bend it fair the whole time. And you're right. nearly on the chalk, bounces into the screen right there. And the right fielder, Benson, kind of misplayed it a little bit, allowed all 3 runs to score. And Curiel ends up at third.
It is a triple. It's his second of the year. It's his 17th, 18th, and 19th RBI. And Jones waves fiercely at one and can't find it. Curiel has continued his streak, Ben, of reaching base now in 19 consecutive games.
It's just, I mean, the last freshman at LSU that I remember had this kind of success was probably Trey Morgan. Remember Trey Morgan's freshman year? He hit 400 in SEC play alone. And if I'm not mistaken, he led off a lot like Curiel his freshman year for LSU.
Five to 2 Tigers. Jones takes a pitch over the plate. He has struck out twice. And he's hit by a pitch. That's the 4th Tiger who's been plunked, to go along with a walk.
Yeah, another breaking ball. This one just way too far inside by Losi.
It doesn't get any easier with Daniel Dickinson coming to the plate.
Speaking of Trey Morgan, he hit a home run the other day in a spring training game, in a big league game. Matter of fact,
he was invited
to
big league camp, wasn't he?
He hit a homer the other day. See the hit by pitches this year, LSU, 29 of them so far. That's kind of been, since Jay Johnson got to LSU, the hit by pitches have gone way up. LSU stands in there and will get on base any way they can. Now you see Barrett Jones a little bit of a limp. That's concerning.
Well, Brock Lucas, a right hand. Curiel is at third. Jones is at first. And Dickinson comes to the plate. He's been plunked, and he also has flied to center. So starter Ian Losi is gone after 3 1/3 innings. And a fastball gets the inside part of the plate. Losi allowed only 3 hits, but a lot of walks and base runners. He struck out a couple, he walked a couple, he hit 4 batters. He had only hit 1 coming into this game. And his day is done.
Yeah, just didn't have his typical command. You can see him shaking his head. He is frustrated with himself. As you mentioned, the hit by pitches, a couple of walks as well.
Interestingly enough, he walked Stanfield twice. Those were the 2 walks. This will score a run. Dickinson with the dribbler scores Curiel from third. And LSU has scored 4 in the inning.
That's what you call a productive at bat. 1 out runner at third base. Find a way to put a ball in play and get that run home. Well done by Dickinson, and a nice play by the third baseman, Knutson.
Jake Brown is going to pinch hit for Ethan Fry. So Brown bats as a southpaw. Fry was 0 for 2. He reached on an error and grounded out to second base. Jake Brown, what a luxury to bring in a .391 hitter off the bench.
Well, this lineup is deep, and this roster is deep, and that's what Jay Johnson likes. He's got pieces he can move into the ball game. You know, you start a left-hander, he sits some of his left-handers, and all of a sudden a righty reliever comes in. He has pieces to be able to move in there. And you're not just going to get a bat. Like you said, you're getting a guy with a high batting average, a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and of course play defense as well as anybody in the outfield when he does go to the outfield. The
2-0 pitch. You don't have a do-rag for me, do you?
Nope. What do you need a do-rag for?
I'm sweating. I can't believe it.
Are you going to tie it up on your head?
Whatever it takes.
Well, I want you to dehydrate now. Got to get you some water.
Little chance of that. Three and one on Jake Brown.
Yeah, careful here.
Indeed. Outfield very deep. My goodness. All three of them. There's a strike. Good pitch on the inside part of the plate. Man, Ben, you got a telescope with you?
They are deep. I'm not sure why. Because like you said, ball gets over your head, it's over the fence anyway.
A liner to right. That's down in front of the right fielder. He might have had a chance to catch that ball had he been in normal position. And Jake Brown comes off the bench and delivers. He stings one to right field.
Jay Johnson pushing all the right buttons, goes to his pinch hitter and Brown, and just an absolute bullet. And you're right, if the right fielder Benson's playing in at normal depth right there, he probably catches this ball in the air, but instead it falls in for an RBI single. Fifth run of the fourth inning for LSU. Now they have a 7-2 lead. You see Bear Jones all the way around from second base. A whack that inning. Remember, he was missing. He got behind the count. The fastball was elevated a little bit, and then he made some adjustments. Nate Yeskie went out for a quick visit and got his left-hander back in the zone.
He has retired 5 in a row. And 8 of the last 9 after the home run.
Yeah, and we talk about shutdown innings, right? I mean, this is, your team goes out and puts a 5 spot up, and this is when you want to stack a 0 on the scoreboard and just take all the air out of Missouri if you can.
So I want to ask you this as a pitcher after you'd given up a home run, say early in the game, in this case to Lovich. The next time he comes up, let's see how far this carries, and is it fair? It is a foul ball. It did. But how good is your memory on a guy who homered the first time up against you, and then he's coming up for the second time? Do you recall everything that you threw, everything that went right, everything that didn't go right?
Well, what you do remember is the ball he hit over the fence and where the location was and what pitch it was. That's the one thing you do remember. And, of course, Nate Yeskie's calling all the pitches from the LSU dugout, the pitching coach for LSU, and he remembers, too. And, of course, they're charting every pitch.
Then I want to talk a little bit, because this is certainly innovative and is being involved in the SEC this year. And that is each bench has a computer hooked up to TrackMan. And it's available during the game in the LSU dugout and also in the Missouri dugout. That's caught out in right field near the warning track by Josh Pearson. But the data, such as pitch speed, launch angles, exit speeds, and a lot more, is available officially through the TrackMan system to all SEC teams in all SEC games the entire season. It's experimental. They're going to see if it has any effect on the game, but it's up to the minute data. Now, the thing it doesn't show is balls and strikes. They've been measuring balls and strikes via TrackMan for about 4 years now in the SEC. That information is given to the umpires and the supervisor of umpires, Paul Gillier, for evaluation. This ball's hit pretty deep and caught on the warning track again by Josh Pearson.
Yeah, I think, some of that is useful information during a ball game. I mean, it's cool to look at exit velocities and launch angle and all those kind of things. What would be more beneficial to me if I was a hitter? I'd want to know, for instance, does a pitcher have a high spin rate fastball?
And that shows.
And it shows.
That
right?
is available.
And
yes.
What I mean by that is, if it's, in other words, the average big league pitcher spins his fastball about 2,280 RPMs. Anytime you get above that, that means that fastball gravity doesn't affect it that much. It's got a lot of carry through the zone. So as a hitter, I want to know that. I want to know what I'm facing, okay? And that way, if I know he's got a lot of carry, I want to try to get to the top of the baseball, because I know my eyes are going to deceive me a little bit, and that ball's going to stay on plane. So there are some valuable information. Also, spin rates on breaking balls, right? I mean, if a guy's got a really high spin breaking ball, we know how good that breaking ball is. Maybe you can make some adjustments on that as well. Pretty good piece of hitting right here. Lefty on lefty matchup.
Cameron Benson just stayed with it and rams it into the right field corner. That's 3 balls hit well in this inning. 2 to the warning track.
And head coach Kerrick Jackson is out of the Missouri dugout. I think he's going to check on Benson. I don't know if he hurt something. Trainer's out as well.
By the way, Anderson is filling up the strike zone on first pitches. He's 14 for 18 in throwing first pitch strikes, which is not unusual for him.
Yeah, it looks like Benson's going to have to come out of the ball game. And something gave way. It looked like when he went around first base. I don't know if it's a hamstring, but it looks like something in the lower half for sure, and that's unfortunate.
Well, we hope that his return is swift, but it won't be in this game. Pierre Seals is going to run.
Oh, yeah, right there. Almost like 3 or 4 steps out of the box. You could tell he is hurting going around first base right there. And that's typically a hamstring.
Well, he smashes a 2-out double. And now Goldbeck, who's 0 for 1 with a fly out and a walk, will step to the plate with a .321 average and a teammate at second base. You know, I asked Jay Johnson before the game down around the batting cage how the Tigers intended to use the data. And he said, well, some of it is already available, but he said some of it you're sort of able to justify what you think you're seeing. If you think maybe the breaking ball has decelerated, so to speak, in that spin rate, you've got data to show yes it has or no it hasn't.
Yeah, and for instance, if you're attacking the fastball, you're hitting a lot of weak fly balls. That tells me that fastball's got some carry through the zone. That's why you're having trouble getting on top of it because your eyes are deceiving you. So now listen, a lot of that information, as you mentioned, a lot of teams already know that. Like, they got the scout reports on the pitchers because TrackMan is available to them as well, and they can go dig up certain information just like MLB scouts can go dig up certain information on pitchers. So that's really information that's already out there in some ways, but like you said, it can verify that information by what you're seeing on the field.
And it shows tendencies during a game, too. It'll track first pitch strikes. It'll track types of pitches thrown in certain counts and all of that. So it's somewhat helpful live, but a lot of it is already determined, or you think you know the scouting report. It's interesting, though, how high technology stuff that wasn't even invented a few years ago is now commonplace.
The analytical world is real now. It's been real in the big league game for about 5 years now. And of course, anything we always say, anything that happens at the major league level tends to trickle down to the college game as well.
And I hate these 2 initials, but I've got to say it. What do you think is going to happen in 2 or 3 years with artificial intelligence, with AI?
Gosh.
I mean, how deep can all of this go?
It can go pretty deep. And look, there's a lot of information out there now. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to the basics, right? As a pitcher, can you execute the balls you want to? Can you throw the ball where you want to? If you're a hitter, can you lay off the balls out of the zone? Can you attack balls over the white part of the plate? All this information is wonderful to have, but the game is still a simple game. If you can catch it, throw it, and hit it, you're a pretty good ball player. And if your team can do that collectively, you've got a pretty good team.
Well, I asked Jay Johnson, do you have a designated person who's watching this data, who's assembling it as it comes? He said, oh yeah, we have people dedicated to that part of the game.
Everybody has an analytical guy on staff now. Everybody does.
Cade Anderson comes back and throws strikes and leaves a pinch runner at second base. Park for the 4:30 start.
Tiger fans, no matter what time the game starts, they figure out a way to get here.
Some of the excuses that are passed along to managers and bosses are quite creative. Pearson, his first pitch swinging. Can Daniels get to it? Yes, he can, in left field. LSU remains ahead of Kentucky in softball. They've gone to the bottom of the 6th inning. So Kentucky is down to its last 3 outs. And LSU has a 4-1 lead over Kentucky in the first game of that 3-game SEC series. I would love to see the softball teams do what the baseball teams do, Ben, and that's add some games in the SEC. They only play 24 as opposed to 30 in baseball. I would love to see 27 or 30. because
Now, Vanderbilt still does not have a softball team, correct?
Correct.
So there's 15 softball teams in the SEC.
Right.
now.
Everybody has an off weekend, though.
Okay.
By that, I mean non-SEC weekend during the regular season. But I would love to see at least 3 more extra games because the quality of the league, again, it's just like baseball. You're going to see a super regional or College World Series opponent most weekends in the SEC.
Well, all you got to do is look on MLB rosters every year when opening day comes, and the SEC, by far and away, when you talk about Major League Baseball, by far more SEC players in Major League Baseball than there are any other conference. And it's not even close.
And by extension, more drafted.
Well,
out of
that's
the
why
SEC.
you're starting to see so many of these kids. I mean, there was a time, 10 or 15 years ago where it was hard to draw a West Coast kid into the Southeast and the Southeastern Conference. Now it's routine. I mean, Curiel from California, others from California. You see them all around the league. Kids are coming from everywhere. And why do they want to play there? Because, one, like you said, it's the best baseball conference. It's the most eyes. I mean, you're routinely playing in front of 6,000 to 11,000 fans every night in the SEC.
And huge television audience.
Huge. I mean, it's where everybody wants to be.
This will be out of the reach of first baseman Nicoletto.
Good to see Luis Hernandez get going. I know when Jay Johnson went and got him out of the portal from Indiana State, he had that monster year last year, hit 359, 23 home runs. He was a little bit slow this year, but he is starting to pick it up. Had that big 2-run homer for LSU in the second inning. Brings a lot of experience. Don't forget, Indiana State's kind of a sleeper when in mid-major. They've been in the NCAA tournament each of the last 2 seasons. And, of course, Hernandez played there. They were even in a super regional a couple of years ago.
That's another one of the great things about college baseball. There's always a sleeper. There's always a dark horse who comes from a smaller conference or maybe just barely gets into its own conference tournament and then turns it on like Ole Miss did a couple of years ago. Hernandez strikes this one pretty well, but it's tracked down on the run by Caden Peer as he moved quickly to his left to make the catch. That's 3 well-hit balls by Hernandez. The first one left the ballpark at over 400 feet.
Yeah,
a 2-run homer in the second.
He is definitely starting to heat up at the plate.
He also lined out to left field, and he hit that deep to center field. 2 gone, and here's Braswell. And again, it's kind of interesting the number of fly ball outs for LSU against 2 different types of pitchers.
Well, LSU likes to get the ball in the air. We know that. I mean, they average, 129 homers each of the last 2 seasons. Now, they're not on that kind of pace so far this year, although we talked about it. I mean, the last 7 games, LSU's hit 19 home runs. Of course, they have a home run today, so that's 20 homers in the last 8 games for LSU, so certainly starting to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
That's a lot of pucker-up T-shirts.
Yes, it is. You've been puckering up a lot here lately, hadn't you?
Well, we need to see what happens when LSU gets hot with the bats and the long ball. That's a pretty good fastball, but it misses. That's another thing, and you know it better than anybody. The average college fastball, has accelerated by 3 or 4, 5 miles an hour over the last decade or so?
Yes. I mean, we talked about LSU and opening weekend, of play. LSU average fastball was about a little over 94 miles an hour for this pitching staff to kind of show you where it's at. LSU 3 up and 3 down.
1 walk and 8 strikeouts, and he's back on the hill to face Peer, whose first pitch swinging and slices that one foul.
Yeah, Cade Anderson now at 70 pitches on the day so far. He threw 92 in his last start against North Alabama.
I'm kind of thinking this might be his last inning. What do you think?
Could be. I mean, you like to stay built up, and he threw 92 his last time out. So if he has a quick one here in the 6th inning, I could see him going back out. You see the pitches by inning. The second inning was a rough one, 19. Really good there in the 4th inning, only 9. Certainly hadn't lost anything on the velocity. And for me, Cade Anderson's getting better. I think the command was a little bit off early from what he typically is, but it seemed like he's gotten himself into a really good groove.
Let's see if there's a play here. Apparently not. Just out of the reach of LSU's Derek Curiel. Caden Peer is from Chesterfield, Missouri. And the pitch curls a little bit away.
Yeah, Missouri last year, 9 wins and 21 losses in conference play. Again, this is Carrick Jackson's second year as the head man at Missouri.
He had great success at Southern. He's also been an assistant coach at a lot of places.
Yeah, you
and was the
mentioned
head coach at Memphis for a year.
He has put his time in. Assistant coach at Fairfield, Coffeyville, that's a community college, Jefferson College, Nicholls State, St. Louis Community College, and of course 5 years as an assistant coach at Missouri for Carrick Jackson.
Kane Anderson has had the strikeout pitch working. That's number 9 through 5 1/3 innings.
Definitely getting sharper. And I tell you, spin them if you got them. And Kate Anderson is spinning a really good breaking ball in there. He's showing some change-ups as well, using them all.
Anderson's best strikeout performance in a single game was 13.
Yeah, that was against Southeastern at Southeastern last year in his freshman season. Punched out 11 his last time out, which was the second most strikeouts of his career.
He still has sneaky velocity, doesn't he?
Yeah, if you talk to the hitters from LSU, because they face each other so much, during the fall and of course early before the season starts, they say the fastball is sneaky. You just don't pick it up like you just don't see it like you want to see it. Of course, he does a really good job of changing speeds with the breaking ball, back to the changeup, to the fastball.
And we just saw an off-speed pitch, maybe with a little twist on it. 2 strikes, 1 out, a 5-run lead for the Tigers.
And he's got a good breaking ball. I mean, we're hearing the spin rate 2675. That's RPM. So the average big league curveball spins about 2,500. So he's well above that.
Milam plucks it on the backhand side. Well done. Well done from deep in the hole on the left side. The shortstop position covered well by Milam.
Well, he's made a believer out of me. And I've only seen him play 3 or 4 times this year. But I tell you what, Stephen Milam's doing everything. Watch this. A little short hop right off the ground, the backhand side, plants the feet, points the shoulder, and a perfect throw over to Jared Jones.
And did you see where his eyes were? They followed the ball into the glove.
Yeah, there's no doubt he could play shortstop. The only question was the arm, and he's made a believer out of me. But he moves well. He anticipates well. And LSU's got an advantage in the infield. That's why the defense has been a little bit better. Think about LSU with a 7-2 lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. In your middle over there is you have 3 shortstops playing third, short, and second base. That is a big benefit.
Wow. A mitt popper, call third strike. Game 2 tomorrow is scheduled to start at 6 o'clock. And Sundays will start at 1 o'clock local time.
Goodness
gracious sakes alive. That's the 5th Tiger who's been plunked.
This is nowhere close. You see the catcher. I mean, Cerna's just set up right in the heart of the plate. That ball nowhere near the glove.
Man, that'll put a kink in your colon.
So Stanfield on base all 3 times. First 2 times by walk. That one hit by pitch. He's showing everybody where he got me. See where he got me? Right up here. Stanfield may not be there too long. I think one thing that Jay Johnson wanted to do a little bit better is steal a few more bases and pressure up defenses a little bit more. And typically, Jay Johnson's no different than any other coach. When you get a lead, that's when the running game actually starts to take off a little bit more.
Well, here's Curiel. He flied out twice before he tripled into the right field corner last time and drove in 3 runs. And that extends his on-base streak to every game.
Impressive. Just advanced. I mean, that's what you say about Curiel. I mean, doesn't expand the zone very often. Going to work the pitch. He's the perfect leadoff hitter because he's going to take a lot of pitches. He's going to see a lot.
Runner is moving, but he'll have to reverse course. And the towering fly ball is handled by Daniels. for out number 1. LSU has opened its SEC softball schedule successfully. A 4-1 final over Kentucky. Sydney Berzon, the winning pitcher. She's 10-0 on the year. Runs batted in by Bergeron, Edwards, and Rudity. She had 2 of them. 4-1 the final. LSU beats Kentucky in game 1 of the 3-game series in softball. Jared Jones to the plate. He has struck out twice and been hit by a pitch. That's bounced through the left side. Jared Jones is aboard with his first base hit. Stanfield stops at second. Jones is behind him after the ground single to left.
Yeah, Jared Jones wasting no time at all. Just kind of leans back on that breaking ball. That breaking ball hung up enough and just powers it right by the third baseman, Knutson. 103 off the bat by Jared Jones. Now remember, anything considered 95 miles an hour and harder on exit velocity is considered a hard hit ball. That one at 103.
Dickinson at the plate. He's been hit by a pitch. He has flied to center, and he picked up a ground ball RBI last time. Ball 1. Now the count is level at 1. 1 out, 1 on. LSU leading 7-2. There have only been 8 hits in this game. LSU has 5 of them. 4 fly ball outs, 4 ground ball outs, and 10 strikeouts.
And he is at how many pitches now? So this is probably going to be his last. 83 pitches, make it 84 now. So,
well, right now he is on the cusp of the longest outing he's ever had in college. His previous high, Ben, was 6 innings. So if he gets an out here in the 7th, he will have established a new longevity record for a single game.
Well, and look, if you're going to be the Friday guy in the SEC, you got to give length, right? Because your Friday night guy is so important for a couple reasons. 1, he sets the tone. 2, he typically chews up innings because you want to save as many of those bullpen pieces as you can for the final 2 games and make it strikeout number 11.
Well, he has just baffled a lot of hitters.
Well, he's gotten ahead, and watch. It goes from strike to a ball, and that's what Kate Anderson is so good at. It's starting it in the zone. It looks like a strike as it travels towards home plate, then he can just bend it down and away from the left-handed hitter.
So 6 1/3 innings in the books now for Kate Anderson, and that's the longest he's ever pitched in a college game.
And I think this is the first time in his career he's got back-to-back double-digit strikeout games. There it is. 3 hits, 2 runs. It came on that 1 swing, that 2-run homer. But since then, he has been lights out.
And by the way, what you don't see, 1 walk.
So what is it? 7 walks now and 48 strikeouts.
Woo.
On the
7-to-1 ratio.
That's pretty good. This is what Lovich did. Little backside home run. He caught up with a fastball that was elevated just enough. This is a big kid. We went back and looked. 6'4", 200 pounds, lean with some pop.
And this is a shortstop. Anderson got it in on his hands. Lovich is from Overland Park, Kansas. Game 1 of a 30-game SEC slate. Missouri and LSU are here tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon as well. We've got all 3 games for you right here on the SEC ESPN Network. Whew. That's a close pitch, but it's the second walk of the day from Anderson. So 1 on, 1 out. for Keegan Knutson. He has struck out and fly to right. Outfield is pretty deep and straight away for the most part. Knutson takes a strike. Trey Lawrence is on deck, 1 on, 1 out. LSU leading 9-2. That ball had a little fade to it when it got to the plate, didn't it?
What I'm noticing from Cade Anderson, it was fastball, slider heavy the first 3 or 4 innings. He's starting to use that changeup a lot now. Just working them all in, showing the Missouri Tigers a little bit something extra. And as a pitcher, that's what you want to do. If you can get through the lineup once or twice by just showing them maybe 2 of your 4 pitches or 3 of your 4 pitches, have something different the third time you see them.
This may be trouble. It finds grass. Little bloop base hit. Runner on first, never checked up and goes all the way to third as Lovich saw that ball was going to get down without any contention by LSU.
Yeah,
and
really.
Knutson has a bloop base hit. Runners at first and third.
And you're right. Lovich with 1 out got a really good read at first base. He saw this ball was going to drop and he took off and quickly got to third base. So first and third and just 1 out.
The pitch count is 96 right now. There's a right-hander and a left-hander throwing in the bullpen for the Tigers.
Yeah, you got to think that Jay Johnson out of the dugout. This could be the end. As we talked about it earlier, the junior college, and transferred to Dallas Baptist last year. Then makes his way over to LSU this year. 6 appearances, he's been solid. 3.6 ERA, 7 1/3. Walks have been a little bit of an issue for him. 6 walks and 7 1/3, but he can strike you out with 8 of those.
You know, among the numbers we discussed for Anderson, most of them outstanding, but one we didn't mention, Ben, and you made the point so well. The fact that he went into the 7th inning, you want that out of a starter, especially a Friday starter.
Yeah, you're a Friday night guy.
That's a good sign for what's to come.
Yeah, they have to give you length because you want to save, again, as many bullets as you can in that bullpen. You know, anytime your Friday night guy gets knocked out in the 3rd or 4th or even the 5th inning, it stresses the bullpen because you got to use your bullpen arms up and you don't have that many guys available the final 2 games of the series.
Trey Lawrence takes the second pitch outside of the zone, 2-0. Lawrence twice has flied to Pearson in right field. Now it's 3-0. The last thing you want to do is come out of the bullpen and issue complimentary passes.
Well, that's exactly how a team can get back in the ball game. Is free passes and then one big swing.
There's a strike. It's unlikely that you're able to make up a 7-run deficit just with base hits. But if errors and walks come into play, it magnifies the importance of the base hits you do get.
Absolutely. And the way the ball flies out of the ballpark right now, when you're giving free passes, you're just one big swing away. And that's kind of where Missouri is right now with the bases loaded. One big swing, and we got a different ball game.
Let's check out that bullpen camera again. There's a left-hander and a right-hander throwing. Back in the 5th and stayed in right field. He's from Memphis with a .242 average, 1 homer, 4 driven in. Seals hits a towering fly ball to shallow right center field. Stanfield is calling for it. He's got it. The runner on third will score easily. Stanfield's throw is to third base. So the run will be charged to Anderson on a sacrifice fly by Seals. It is the 2nd out of the inning.
Now that is designated hitter Garrett Goldbeck.
Here's the DH at the top of the order. Gehrig, as in Lou. Goldbeck. Runners at second and first. Steve Reich on a mitt popper. After 4 consecutive shutout innings, Missouri has pushed across a run in the 7th to make it a 9-3 game.
Well, Benj has got a good arm, though. I mean, the fastball will tick up to 96. Little cutter and a slider to go with it.
Mostly a hard thrower, though, right?
Yeah. Opponent's batting average is good. I mean, the only thing that gets Benj in trouble is he sprays it from time to time. You talked about the walks. But opponent's batting average coming in just 130 off of Benj.
That will win a lot of games if you can throw strikes. And he does right there. Benj comes in. Missouri will be home next weekend, hosting Ole Miss. Ole Miss got a win today over Arkansas. We'll check scores here in just a moment. First baseman charges and takes it out of his midsection to get the out at first. Nicoletto retiring the LSU leadoff batter, Pearson. And now here's Hernandez. Pearson now is 1 for 3 with a couple of runs scored. Hernandez homered to tie the game with a teammate aboard in the 2nd inning. Since then, he has lined out and hit the ball deep to center field. Ball 1. LSU will play Tuesday at 6:30 in this ballpark against New Orleans. And then we'll have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series in Austin against Texas. I'm sure there'll be some LSU fans making that trip, man.
Oh, I'm sure. Texas seems to always have a good team and one of the best programs in the country.
Ranked 11th this week. Knutson makes the play from third base. But all in all, even though Hernandez has been limited to 1 hit, now granted that was the 2-out blast over the center field wall, or the 2-run blast over the center field wall, but Ben, he's hit the ball hard 4 times.
And you could tell about 10 days ago he started to find the barrel a little bit more. We talked about his little bit of a slow start after a monster year at Indiana State last year, and Jay Johnson needs him to be productive. You know, defensively, he's a little bit ahead because he's a 4th-year senior, you know, a little bit ahead of Aaron Beatty, who has a ton of talent. But you got to have Hernandez. He's been in postseason play. He's played in super regionals. He's been a big part of it, and he handles a pitching staff very, very well. So I think he's going to catch at least 2 of the 3 games on any typical weekend for LSU. But Aaron Beatty's going to be a star. There's no doubt about that. He just needs time behind the dish.
Here's Braswell, who's 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch and scored. Tigers have been plunked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times today. That's a swing. 2 outs, nobody on base. Missouri is down to its last 6 outs. We play in the bottom of the 7th. LSU leading 9-3. Tigers with 2 in the 2nd, 5 in the 4th, and 2 more in the 6th. There's a 5-pitch pass, and Braswell extends the inning.
Yeah, Braswell on base twice. Hit by pitch in the 4th and now walked here in the 7th.
And he is struggling offensively. There's no question about it at this point. But that's the way you help your team when you become a base runner.
Absolutely. And he knows that. I mean, Braswell's in his 4th year, right? 2-year starter at South Carolina at the shortstop position, and, of course, started at shortstop for LSU last year. He understands that. And, look, the offense is going to come for him. And it looks like it's going to be a two-headed monster so far this year over at third base. Braswell may start against the left-handers. You could see Tanner Reeves against the right-handed pitchers. Both of them play defense really well. I mean, obviously, you know, the first base position, second base, shortstop, and what feels like
8th. The LSU Tigers are leading the Missouri Tigers by 6.
far.
Stanfield nearly came out of his shoes with that swing. And he falls behind, 2 strikes, 2 outs, a man aboard. LSU in control in the bottom of the 7th. He went around. So a good inning for Ben Smith in relief. He allowed a 2-out walk, but we go to the 8th. The LSU and at Auburn.
Yeah, State was just ranked. They just fell out of the top 25. They were ranked last weekend, so LSU maybe on paper a slightly easier schedule the first 5 than Missouri. Remember LSU start last year, seemed like every team they played the first 5 series were teams in the top 5 is what it felt like.
Caden Pierre at the plate.
Not many off weekends in the SEC. It used to be many years ago, but it's not that way anymore.
Connor Benj came on last inning in relief. He throws hard but misses. Benj got the final 2 outs in the 7th inning. He walked a batter but then got 2 in a row. Stanfield is retreating in a hurry, still galloping, still galloping. That ball is gone. It kept carrying, and Stanfield ran as far as he could. He could go no farther. And Caden Pierre rips one apart for his 3rd home run of the season.
Yeah, that ball traveled 391 feet. That's a pretty good swing right there. And again, that ball is not going to leave the ballpark on a normal day, but the wind is really getting out toward left center field. But certainly, Pierre touched that one. That's his 3rd long ball of the year, his 10th RBI.
You know what? That's the first leadoff hitter in an inning to reach base for Missouri in this game. That's getting it done early, getting an out early in the inning.
To me, the first batter of every inning is probably the most important batter. You get that first out of every inning, the chance of the team scoring goes way down from there.
Curiel running back. That ball's gone. It's out of his reach. Back-to-back home runs. You talked about Mateo Serna in the open. That's his 4th home run of the season, his first base hit in this game after a couple of strikeouts and a ground out. But Missouri has lifted 2 balls over the fence with the aid of the wind, but nonetheless. Back-to-back homers by Pierre and Serna.
Yeah, Missouri had 17 home runs coming into this game today, 3 today, and just another, just more or less a routine type fly ball that gets out. I tell you, the ball is absolutely flying in college baseball again this year. Exit velos are off the chart. Home runs are through the roof. And those balls off the bat to me look like routine fly balls,
right,
but they're going out of the ballpark.
That's the end of the day for Connor Benj. LSU.
For Primo, fastball is going to be 88 to 92. Throw a slider behind that as well. And again, like a lot of LSU pitchers, a pretty good opponent's batting average. Opponents hitting just 188 off the left-hander, Primo.
Well, he's only allowed 3 base hits in 5 innings. Here's Caden Nicoletto. 2 batters have come to the plate for Missouri. They've both homered. Nicoletto has had the hat trick. He has struck out 3 times.
What's 4?
Golden sombrero?
Sombrero, I think. 5 is golden. I once saw Sam Horn strike out 6 times in a ball game, and I'd heard of this hat trick, the sombrero, the golden sombrero. We ended up winning the ball game, and I asked him after the game. I said, "Big Sam," I said, "I've never seen somebody strike out 6 times." I said, "We don't even have a name for that." And his name was Sam Horn, and he said, "Big Ben, we're just going to call it plenty." And so it became the Horn of Plenty. I said, "That's fair. 6 strikeouts in 1 game."
But you know, if you bat 6 times in a game, your team probably has won.
That's
don't
right.
You think?
Yeah. It was one of those 14-10 type ball games. And Big Sam, what was funny is he got a 7th at bat. He was 0 for 2, fixing to punch out 7 times. It hits a rocket, and he stood at home plate, thought he was going to get off for a home run, and he didn't make it. Double off the wall. He blew out a hamstring going around first base trying to get to second.
Bad day for Mr. Horn.
Pretty good start for DJ Primo here. Just an elevated fastball, just about let her high.
Well, Nicoletto 4 times his fan now.
So he's got a sombrero.
Here's Brock Daniels from St. Louis. 1 for 3 with a run scored. Primo working lefty to lefty. LSU pitchers have fanned 12 Missouri Tigers. 6 o'clock is the scheduled game time tomorrow. 1 o'clock on Sunday.
LSU still missing their closer in Gavin Guidry.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody was hoping he'd be available for this weekend. It's not sounding like he's going to be available.
Even with his absence, Ben, what the Tigers have what? I think they've used 18 pitchers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they're running out a lot of guys right now. You know, and Kason Evans, the true freshman, has been really good at that LSU bullpen. You know. But that's a guy you want to get back in the fold, especially at the back end, and hopefully Gavin Guidry will be back in the near future for LSU.
It's getting a little frustrating, I'm sure, for him, because for the last several weeks it's been okay, he's almost ready, he's almost ready, he's almost ready, but apparently not.
Yeah, and I don't know the extent of the injury. The problem is if he's not been able to throw and keep his arm in shape, and I don't think that he has, it may, you know, once he's cleared and he gets healthy, it may take him a little while to get back, to get built back up again, you know.
I wouldn't go to the witness stand and make this statement, but I think I've seen him throwing casually in warm-ups before the game, but not from the bullpen mound or anything serious that I can remember. Jones makes the play himself at first base. And by the way, let me correct myself. The Tigers have used 17 pitchers this year. Here's Lovich. He provided Missouri with its only lead with a 2-run home run in the second inning.
Yeah, Jay Johnson wasn't going to play around. Lovich showed him something with that 2-run home run, and he didn't want to let the left-hander Primo to face the right-hander Lovich, so he goes and gets Zach Cowan. Woo. How about that changeup, huh? That thing is a difference maker and by far the best pitch for Cohen. It comes out, it looks just like the fastball. He really sells it with the arm speed, but it's almost like it's got a parachute on it. It never really gets to home plate.
Let's see what he does with the 1-1. That was another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Why not?
You talk to Nate Yeske, and Nate Yeske will tell you when it comes to change-ups, that's the best one on the staff right there.
And if you can get the ball to move like that and mimic the arm motion, you've got something.
Yeah, went 3 in a row with it. That's how good it is.
Missouri, in the first 6 innings, had 3 hits on a couple of runs. They've come alive offensively with 3 hits and 3 runs in the last 2 frames. Now, he went back with the harder stuff.
Yeah, we're going to find out what he trusts the most right now, and it's probably going to be that changeup. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we see a 3-2 changeup here.
Lovich waits. That's exactly what we saw. Another off-speed pitch.
I mean, that's kind of what the scout report is. They say he will throw the changeup just about in any situation and any count.
Again, the 3-2 pitch. Ooh. Another changeup.
That's Bugs Bunny changeup right there. That's what you call pull. Sophomore shortstop from Alabama, Justin LeBron. And you talk about doing it, man. He's got 11 home runs already. That was going into play today.
A shortstop with 11.
A shortstop with 11 home runs already. Leads the nation in home runs and RBIs. How about this? 43 RBIs already for Justin LeBron to go along with those 11 home runs.
Wow. Curriel at the plate. Derek has a 3-run triple. He's 1 for 4. He's flied out 3 other times. We expect to see Will Libbert, who is a left-hander for Missouri tomorrow, against Anthony Ianson. Chase Shores is scheduled to pitch on Sunday for LSU. Caden Drew, another left-hander for Missouri.
Yeah, Anthony Ianson, his last time out, what is it, 15 strikeouts?
I think so. It was a big, big number. One ball, 2 strikes on Derek Curriel. He's been a superb leadoff hitter. You know, this is a low water point for me in this game, Ben. I've only had 4 Diet Cokes.
Only 4?
Only 4.
That is a low water mark for you. Let me go get you one?
No, I think I can hold out. Might have the DTs, but I'll fight my way through it.
I just had a small cup of coffee. Tasted just right.
Where did you find it?
They got this little machine back here behind us.
Is it hidden?
Didn't have any spoons, so I had to use my Sharpie pen to kind of stir it up a little bit. Without the point, I used the other end of it.
Yeah, well, that'll thicken it a little bit. LSU has not led wire to wire. It was 2-0 in the top of the second, 2-2 after 2. It's been LSU since then. Jay Johnson looking for an SEC opening day win. We started in the daytime. We will close at night. Woo! Oh, that one took a wicked bounce over the shoulder of Nicoletto. He was in position And the next thing he knew, that ball was up around his eyes and whizzing by.
It's a base
It's
hit
got
because
to.
it took
Watch this.
a bad
He's
hop.
ready.
Perfect position right in front of it, and woo!
Lucky that one didn't.
That ball had a lot of topspin on it.
It's lucky it didn't hit him in the noggin. They've ruled that a hit, as it should be. Curiel will love that. Ben Smith checks the runner at first. Steve right to Jared Jones. Jones struck out twice to open the game. He was hit by a pitch, and he singled. He has one base hit, 1 for 3, a couple of runs scored. Out of Marietta, Georgia. Jones laces one to center field. It's going to carry out to the center fielder, who nearly misjudged it. Caden Pierce started back a little bit and then had to reverse course and was able to get to it. Ben, here are the numbers on tomorrow's expected starters: Libbert and Ianson.
Yep. Look at Ianson. Look at that bottom number. 35 strikeouts on the year, only 5 walks.
That's astonishing.
7-to-1 strikeout in the whip. Anytime you got a whip at 1 or below, that is way above average. Of course, whip is walks and hits versus innings pitched.
That's just amazing to be less than 1 in hits allowed and
Yes.
walks allowed per inning. You know, that means you're facing, and this is hard to believe, but when you extend those numbers out, that means you're facing maybe 6-7 over the limit in a 9-inning game. Dickinson hits a high fly ball to left field.
Left fielder doesn't see it.
Daniels does not see it and can't get to it. And the Tigers wind up with runners at third and second. Daniels, very early during the flight of that ball, held out his hands. I thought for a moment he was signaling, "I see it, I've got it." But he was saying, "Hey, I have no idea where this is."
And you can see right away. I mean, in the sky right now, as it's just starting to get dark, it is tough to pick up a fly ball. It's just a routine fly ball to left field. But right away, Brock Daniels goes, "I can't see it. I have no idea." Look at him. He has no idea where the ball is. And finally, at the last second, he picks it up, but it is well too late.
So we'll see how that scored. And the Tigers have 2 in scoring position, with Curiel scampering to third and Dickinson winding up at second. I'd say it's cigar ash right now.
Oh, I like that. Cigar ash. That's a new one.
A drive to left field. Will it stay in the ballpark? Yes, it will. Brock Daniels was able to locate that one. The run scores from third, and the Tigers have a 10-5 lead.
Pretty good day for Jake Brown off the bench for LSU.
Oh, I would say so. That's his 4th RBI. He's 2 for 2. I thought for a moment that the wind might aid this one. Danielson able to locate it that time as he backs up near the warning track. There's a look at the sky. That's a cigar ash, huh?
Yeah, it is a cigar ash.
Milam looking for his first base hit. It's unusual that he would not reach base. Milam is hitting .348 against right-handed pitchers. He's hitting .500 against left-handed pitchers. This one is on its way. You can pucker up and kiss that baby goodbye. Stephen Milam muscles up with a drive into the right field bleachers, his 5th home run of the year. He has exceeded last year's total by 1, and Stephen Milam crosses the plate after driving in more runs, and LSU has a 7-run advantage.
Watch how tight the hands are. And that ball is borderline strike on the inside part of the plate, but Milam gets those hands close into the body, gets the barrel to it, and barrels it out for his 5th long ball of the year, his 22nd RBI. The Tigers up 12-5 now in the bottom of the 8th.
And Ben, that was a heck of a catch by a fan out in right field off the first bounce.
Well, what a good move that was to the baseball, too. Ball is a borderline even being a strike, and yet he found a way to get the barrel to it.
That's worth a T-shirt. Milam has 1 more home run right now than he did the entire season last year. The West Monroe product swings through that one. LSU with 2 in the 2nd, 5 in the 4th, 2 in the 6th, 3 here in the 8th.
Yeah, good to see Josh Pearson having an outstanding year offensively so far. Last year wasn't the year that he wanted. Had some big moments and some big base hits, but the average wasn't quite where it was. And Jay Johnson felt like there was a lot left in the tank for Josh Pearson to have a good year. And so far he is having that.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 3 in. LSU has countered the 2 in the 8th with 3 of its own. LSU leading by 7. Good off-speed pitch, really nice. And Pearson goes to Stephen Milam. Here's Keegan Knutson. Knutson is 1 for 3. Zach Cohen in relief. He's the 4th LSU reliever. Anderson started, picked up 11 strikeouts, and went 6 1/3 innings, which is his longest outing as a collegiate pitcher. Milam is calling for it at shortstop. Now he's backing up quickly, and he stumbles around, but he makes the catch. It's been an adventure on pop-ups lately.
Yeah, it has, with the wind and the sky being what it's been the last 20 minutes.
Milam's got the do-rag.
I think you should wear one. I really do.
Maybe tomorrow.
I think you'd look good.
What color?
Purple.
Okay.
Or cigar ash, either one.
Okay. Okay.
Whichever one you get. Just be sure and take a picture and send it to me. I want to see what it looks like.
You think I can make the camera work on the phone?
I think you. Now that you got rid of that Razor phone you had up till last year and you got a real phone.
I'm going back to it as soon as this one gives
you
out.
Can't.
I'm going
they
back
don't
to
make them anymore.
Yes,
man.
they do.
No.
They make the jitterbug flip phone.
Just because your briefcase is 60 years old doesn't mean you can get an iPhone that's 60 years old, a Razor phone. You just can't do it.
Well, I'm not happy with any device that's smarter than I am. And you know my motto when it comes to phones and most technology: never upgrade.
Never?
Never.
But you can get emails on your phone now, which is nice. You couldn't get it on that Razor phone. And texting is a lot easier now. I know you don't text a whole lot, but you do.
I have texted a little bit.
Okay.
I think, though, when evolution takes over in 1,000 years, that everybody's just going to have a fingernail about 6 inches long, so they can text better.
Good point. I struggle because my fingers are so big. I tend to hit 2 or 3 buttons at the same time.
Me too. And sometimes you send embarrassing stuff because you haven't proofread it. You ever done that?
Yes, unfortunately, I have.
I mean, some of it is, borderline vulgar.
Borderline? To me, vulgar is just
No, borderline because
vulgar is just vulgar. It can't be borderline. It's kind of either it is or it isn't.
Oh, okay, well, I'll go with the not then. Seals at the plate. Going to be a tough play if Braswell lets it stay fair, but he made the right choice. 2 outs. LSU about to win for the 13th straight time and go to 18-1 on the year, and 1-0 of course in the SEC. Missouri would fall to 8-9 and 0-1. The crowd on its feet. And Ben, this was a game that started an hour and a half, a couple of hours early at 4:30. But pretty good crowd on hand, and certainly one that's enjoyed the outcome to this point. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. LSU wins its first SEC game. Zach Cowan finishes the game with a strikeout. And the LSU Tigers got the pitching they needed from the starter. They got the hitting they needed throughout the lineup. And Ben, an impressive victory to open the SEC schedule.
Yeah, start with Cade Anderson. He goes 6